Welcome to Marifado. This is Preacher Rabbi L.M. Dumizul. Our topic today is African Kingdom South of Egypt, Part 2. I would like to say that there is also going to be Part 3 and Part 4. If you have not watched our original video on African Kingdom South of Egypt, Part 1, I urge you to watch it because this one we are presenting today dovetails neatly with this original one. Exuding a sheer spirit of jealousy and envy driven by disbelief, some scholars and their students now try to portray to all others that the origins of ancient Egypt is shrouded in mystery. It is not shrouded in mystery. This diabolical and deceptive approach puts Egypt out of Africa into some other continent or Mediterranean or Asia. There was no Middle East. It's all Africa. As you can see here, Egypt is in Africa. There are no ancient texts, historical accounts or references that links the origin of ancient Egypt to Asia. That's a lie. Now, it is these manufactured dishonesties, mendacities, and lies, prejudiced literature, selective DNA results from selected mummies that try to portray ancient Egyptian civilization as anything other than African. There was a kingdom south of Egypt that gave birth to the current Egypt of pyramids. Egypt was and will always be an African country. In this view, therefore, the most powerful kingdom south of Egypt must be resurrected, not buried, understood, not ignored, studied, and not put under the shelves. It's fortunate that millions of people are finding this information and are now rediscovering this civilization that gave birth to ancient Egypt, that emanates from the African kingdom south of Egypt. Never lose the truth and fact that Egyptian civilization was founded by those who came from its southern part, from the Great Lakes region in the hinterlands of Africa. Here is a reason why others want this civilization to be hidden, because it is the parental source, the evidence of ancient Egypt, which they want to claim. A people's future is predetermined or at the very least inspired by the stories they are told about themselves. It doesn't matter if the stories aren't true. All that matters is that the people believe that they are true. This is the true reason why white historians claims ancient Egypt as their own history. Whenever oppressors don't have an admirable and inspiring history of their own, they always steal the great history of those they have conquered or those that they have oppressed or are oppressing. It's an Orwellian propaganda. This is from the Black Matrix Reloaded, seeing our true identity and reality. There is high value of true alternative history that is propelled by a lot of other schools, a lot of other people, a lot of other forums, including Marifado. But against all odds, we know that a lot of history has been doctored to give an image that is not fundamental to our identity as Bantus or melanin-dominant human beings. A New York Times 1992 report reflects shocking attitudes and prejudice bordering on outright deception concerning this older and parental kingdom south of ancient Egypt. If you can find it in NewYorkTimes.com. It says this about Kush, a black African culture long overshadowed in history by Egypt, but brilliant and innovative in its own right. Nubian treasures reflect black influence on Egypt. That statement alone is very, very deceptive and wrong. As written in New York Times, first, it is the word Nubian and black influence on Egypt, as if Egypt was not black. How could it be black in black? It's not. This is how alternative history is a high value in establishing our identity. We have already shown in part 1 evidence of this fearsome power and its ancient age. Let us provide more evidence about this older kingdom south of Egypt that is rarely taught or promoted, because it will destroy all Egyptological biases and lies. Is Nubia an old name? Is Nubia Kush? Nubia was known as Kush for 2,000 years, but it was changed. Who changed it? Nubia Kush 12,000 BCE. For much of antiquity, the region south of the first cataract of the Nile was called Kush. The name is known from ancient Egyptian classical texts. Whether it reflects an indigenous term is not known. Yet in Bantu languages, it refers to spreading, like a sower sowing and scattering seeds. Marinate on that and think on that very seriously. Ancient heritage deliberately being ignored. There are more pyramids in Nubia than Egypt. Pyramids in Kush are older than those in Egypt, which are popular. Nubian Meroe pyramids are the best preserved of the more than 220 pyramids in Sudan. They are the burial sites for more than 40 Cushitic kings and queens in the kingdom of Kush. Look at that. These are the pyramids. How many people know about this? Very few. A lot of people think that the pyramids are only found in Hamit. They are architectural genius, architectural wonder that our ancestors designed. It proves really that we have fallen from a very high pedestal. Since Cushitic pyramids are smaller, this is proof that the pyramids were built from the south. The technology developed from the south, going northwards and culminated in Hamit. There is an abundance of rock art found all over the Central Sahara, from Libya to Egypt to Mali. The rock art depicts elephants, crocodiles, dogs, hippos, and rhinos, animals that do not live in the desert. Scenes of hunting and rituals are shown with men wearing animal masks, totemic. There are representations in rock art of dog-headed human figures, which resembles Anubisa, and a type of stamped pottery decoration later found in the southern Nile Valley. So this is our ancientness that goes beyond the 4,000 demarcation mark given to Egypt by Egyptologists. Many popular Egyptian gods are of Cushitic ancestry. Therefore, your Kamitic spirituality is more of southern Egypt than anywhere else. Ancient Nubian culture and religion. The ancient Nubians shared many common religious ideals with that of their neighbors, the Egyptians. It's not like they are different. They are the same. Both religions referred to many of the same gods and goddesses. Egypt's religious influence. The Nubians worshipped the universal gods of Hamit. It's the other way around. Right? The more common among the near regions of Egypt, and even commonly known to the world today, these deities include Horesu, Hatore or Stole, Anubisa, Bastata, Guvu, Mute, Isisu, Ausari, Gahuti, Shata, and the most common of all, Rabuda or Ra. Many deities popularly known as Egyptian actually originated from Nubian or Cushitic religion, such as the war goddess Sakumuta. In the old kingdom of ancient Egypt, it is believed by many archaeologists and scholars that Upper Egypt was located in Nubia, Kush, before it expanded to the north. The founder of the first united dynasty in Hamit, Pharaoh Naremera, was even believed to have been born in Tini, a town in Kush. This is the reason for the similarities in Nubian and Egyptian culture. The Cushitic or the Kushites also believed in Ba. That's why we have Bantu. And the Ka, the spiritual parts of being believed by the Egyptians to have traveled to the underworld when a person dies. Ka represents physical qualities of a being, while Ba represents the non-physical characteristics such as personality. The Nubians represent the Ba by statues of winged figurines. It's straightforward. There is Mahati. So the portrayal of Kush versus Egypt given today in scholastic work and academic work is not correct. It is subtle and divisive, as we have already proved here. Between 2500 BCE and 300 CE, a series of kingdoms flourished in what is known today as Sudan Nile Valley. These are the kingdoms of Napata, Karema, Marua. These are Cushitic kingdoms which gave birth to the same Cushitic kingdom in the area known as Sudan today, and up to Mesopotamia through Egypt and Canaan. There it is. This is the Kushite Empire represented, and the armies, the elephants, and everything, and the technology, and the queens ruling and having authority and power. Kush is similar to Nubia or Nubian, land of black people. The Greeks came and called it Ethiopia or Ethiopic. The Arabs came and called it Sudan, and Egyptus is Latin for dark people. This is very, very clear. You can see them there. Whether they are lightish, whether they are dark as blue, black, it doesn't matter. They are all Bantus. The ancient Kushite Empire spread right across into what you know today as Southeast Asia, India, China, and every part of the world. This is very, very clear. There are no debates about that. The most hidden fact of history of Hamid. This is by Emara Imhotep. During the Persian invasion of Hamid, Artaxerxes III of Persia attacked the country at 3 different points at the same time. They defeated Nectanebo, the last native pharaoh of Hamid, who retreated to Memphis, where he felt that he could make a stand against the Persians. But as city after city fell, all that he could do was gather up as much of his possession as he could and flee into Ethiopia, current today Sudan, Nubia. Some scholars want to call it that. This information is hidden by most scholars. The true rulers of Hamid, the aristocracy, migrated south when their country got invaded. That's one of the reasons why the Sudanese people or Nubians and other black Africans groups today are the only groups who use the ancient cultural practice that could be seen in Hamid. They are the true descendants. This is a very important statement. The stakes are very high, actually. This is Dr. Larry Ross, who wrote this book, Nubia and Egypt, 10,000 BCE to 400 AD. He goes on to say that the period between 16,000 BCE and 8,000 BCE provides the essential foundations of ancient African civilization. However, Egyptologists never start there. The University of Chicago's Oriental Institute provides the archaeological evidence for significant periods of prehistory development that challenges the general assumptions that Egyptologists continue to make about the Nile Valley. You can go on here and a study we have given the most important references that you can look at here. The places like Kustu Cemetery, which provides some of the most important evidence that has been overlooked by mainstream Egyptologists, the temples and the cultural and religious practice of Bantus and many other people south of ancient Hamid. Nubia, a term with many origins. We should be careful with this term. Nubia was also called Upper and Lower Nubia. Actually, Kush, land of Kush, Tahenes, Nubadai, Napata, or the kingdom of Marua. The Nubians were powerful and wealthy kings. You should read the Kushites. And they controlled the territories. And their land was known as the Kingdom of Kush. An important note is that Kushite and Egyptian history, culture, religion, politics, and to some degree even language, as we have already alluded, is the same. They are intertwined. You cannot understand Egyptian history correctly and properly without understanding first that of Kush. Did the now Nubia come into use during the Roman period? Yes. The origin of the name Nubia is obscure according to some scholars. Some have linked it to Nubri, the ancient Egyptian word for gold. This is also a Chikaranga Shona word bre or ibre, generally meaning a stone. This gives the term Nubia a Bantu parentage, however coined and promoted by Europeans. Nubia is a noun now used to describe a land that produced much gold, so the name is often said to derive from ancient Egyptian Nebu or Ibre, as we have already alluded to. Ptolemy also refers to it, and one of our kings, Jedekare Assos, referred to this part of southern Egypt as Tanubre, land of gold. So perhaps from that perspective, removing the Roman, removing the Greek, the noun Nubia can be used. Our minds must be soaked with the fact that Cushites or Nubians, as Euro scholars sometimes prefer to call them, are indigenous to Egypt, and that they are not foreigners, and that the current people that are in Egypt are foreigners. Do you know that Ethiopia and Egypt produced the earliest civilization in the world, and it was indigenous? So far as the records of language and mythology can offer as guidance, there is nothing beyond Egypt and Ethiopia but Africa. Yet there is a clear difference between us, their sons and daughters, and the founders of these civilizations and architectural designs. Why? How did this difference occur? Comparative researches and evidence in philology and mythology that has gone on in research in India, in China, Europe, and America yielded no other counter information to counter the fact that Kush and Hamit are old. All the evidence cries aloud in its proclamation that Africa is the mother and birthplace of civilization, and Egypt eventually became the mouthpiece of the civilization headed by the African kingdom south of it. We will bring more concerning this kingdom south of Egypt in our next part 3 of this episode. Last but not least, the term Nubian may have been introduced and coined in order to effectively derail the much more effective and powerful term Kush, so as to soften our search for our identity, preventing us from properly assessing our tremendous historical heritage and further divide us, as the system has always been doing, and then pushing us into the pan-Arabist fallacy and definitely disconnecting us from our brothers and sisters all over Africa, and many still fighting to free Africa from mulatto foreign rule, so-called Middle East. We are the Oromos, the Sidamas. We are the people, the owners of all the civilizations that you can find on the earth. And our nations are now subjugated. Our nations have been compromised with the non-Cushitic, non-African, Semitic colonial states and the racist mulatto rulers and white Arabs who are totally unrelated to us as Bantus. This must change in our minds. What's next? We are going to bring African Kingdom South of Egypt part 3, which is going to explore more details and more information. As this work is surging ahead and you want to participate, send us your email on join@marifado.com. Subscribe to our channel, Hamit Hebrew Ethics. Share and leave your comment. This is Preacher Rabbi Elem Dumizulu saying we are rebuilding our greatness. Join us today and let us walk this journey together right into the afterlife. Have a great day.